Hi everyone, I'm going to be discussing Gayatri Spivak and her translation theory, The Politics of Translation today. Just a little bit of introduction on her before we get to the theory's details. Gayatri Spivak is a literary theorist, feminist critic, and post-colonial theorist. She was born in Calcutta, India to an intellectual family, studied a BA in English there, and pursued a PhD in comparative literature at Cornell. After that, she translated Jacques Derrida's De la Grammatologie in 1967 about a deconstructionist theory on reality. In 1983, she penned a powerful essay called Can the Subaltern Speak? On the negative British perception towards Hindu burial rites without the consideration of the Third World's voice. In 1998, she published The Politics of Translation, which I'll be going into further in the slides, a pioneering discourse on translating the others, particularly the Third World woman's voice, as a unique entity. The Politics of Translation starts off with a warning that the feminist translator should consider language as a clue to gendered agency, where a Bengali woman writer would write differently to that of a British woman because both cultures have different interpretations of masculine and feminine agency. Now, Spivak encourages the translator to understand that the writer may be using language and display of agencies as a method to free herself from the nation's colonial past, its racist present, and a history of male domination. Now, in order to unpack these layers of post-colonial theory and feminine agency within the text itself, she recommends translators go back to basics. They disrupt their own language's logic. For her, in English, she had to overcome the need to get the most accurate synonyms. It really is a process of understanding and respecting the rhythm of the original, rather than understanding the rhythm of the language that you are taught in. Spivak encourages translators to understand the rhythm of the original to avoid creating a situation where the literature of a Pakistani woman begins to resemble that of a Taiwanese man. This happens because translators succumb to law of the strongest or law of the colonizers in layman's terms. Here's an example of Mahasweta Devi's Tanadayini and how the law of the strongest operates here. Spivak translates Tanadayini as breast giver. Yes, it incites shock, but it preserves the author's irony. In contrast, the British translator translates Tanadayini as the wetness. The meaning of breast as an organ of labor power as commodity is lost, and it just makes it seem like a typical British woman's experience. This is what Spivak is rallying against, the idea of typecasting all women into one. Now, Professor Minoli Salgado goes a step further. She indicates that it's not just about not typecasting all women into one, it's also about not creating signs where there are no signs indicated by the author in the text. She accuses Spivak of doing this. She says Spivak is celebrating the peculiar in the translation of the title, whilst Devi, the author, is celebrating the universal. And this is what happens, and this is what Salgado is really saying, is to try and not naively assume that the author is going to understand the values that you grew up in. It's more about understanding the author's values and finding a merge. Professor Claudia de Lima Costa gives us a real-life experience of what happens when you naively assume others are following the same value system as you. During a cleaning experience with Brazilian women who organize homeless shelters called the Sem Teto, she indicates that when she started grabbing a shovel and working with them, she realized her white sneakers and white socks were caked with mud. They began mocking her inappropriate attire. The reason why they're mocking her is because of the fact that she really should not have been wearing that while cleaning, but it indicates that she belongs to a different class, a different societal group compared to these women. Now, Dilema Costa indicates that this experience helped teach her that manifold levels of privilege exist in society that separate each woman from the other. The only way to overcome it is to unlearn your privilege to hear the other's language. And Dilema Costa's experience proved to herself and to others out there that the translator really has to be in touch with stories, values, and the writer's mother tongue to decipher what is good, bad, and neutral according to multiple groups, not just the translator. And the secret, ultimately as a conclusion to this presentation, is to recognize the uniqueness of each individual within the nation's spectrum of its class-based system. For example, differences between an educated professor and an illiterate maidservant, and this in translation. Thank you for watching this presentation. Please take a look at my bibliography if you want more information.